Welcome to the Campfire. This week we're taking a deep dive into 21 6A. The teams in this Fort Bend ISD district are Austin, Bush, Clements, Dulles, Elkins, Hightower, Ridgepoint, and Travis. Now let's analyze this district in our Randall's Film Session. In 21 6A, everyone is chasing the Ridgepoint Panthers. When you've won 9 of the last 10 district titles, you are clearly the hunted. And this year will not be any different. Ridgepoint returns the district offensive MVP, Austin Carlisle, at quarterback. And yes, he's lost some of his weapons, but Dane Jones is still a playmaker at receiver. And on defense, the Panthers have a solid secondary with Gil Jackson and Bryson Weber. Hightower is usually the Panthers' stiffest district competition, and should be again this year. But the Hurricanes suffered a huge blow when talented quarterback JoJo Stewart transferred to Shadow Creek. Hightower still has Austin Bowen at running back, so expect this group to be in the hunt for a playoff spot. Fort Bend Travis is the only other playoff team returning to this district, and it'll be aided by the returning newcomer of the year, wide receiver David Brewer. Austin fell just short of a postseason spot and will rely on running back David Bishop to help get this squad over the hump. Clements was a 4-win team a year ago, and if it can improve by a couple of victories, it could be in the postseason as well. Caleb Fountain is a bruising defensive tackle for Bush as it tries to improve on 2023's 1-win season. Dulles and Elkins each need to find some offense to finish in the upper tier of 21 6A.
The film session is brought to you by Randall's. Find these great Mott's products on the Chevrolet Inside High School Sports End Cap and take your shopping game to the next level.
Chevrolet Inside High School Sports is brought to you by the Houston area Chevy dealers. Together, let's drive.
And for an even deeper look at these schools, here's producer Ward Fasold and the Houston Chronicle's John Poorman with this district breakdown.
We're back at it again for a district breakdown. We're talking 21 6A with John Poorman from the Houston Chronicle. It's the Fort Bend district, and we all know what happens in the Fort Bend district. Ridgepoint walks away with another banner to hang up in their gym or on their football field. Is that going to happen again for them, or who do you see challenging them?
Well, Ridgepoint certainly has to be the favorites again. I mean, they've proven it year after year, winning district championships. That has not changed since Coach Rick LaFavors has taken over that program. Just a sustained success ever since the school opened, really. And they got to be the favorites once again because they have, perhaps the best player in the district coming back, and that's going to be senior quarterback Austin Carlisle. Just a tremendous dual threat athlete, passed for over 3,000 yards and 34 touchdowns last year. Also got it done with his legs, rushing for over 500 yards, and 10 touchdowns as well there. And just a dynamic playmaker who could spread the ball around. If anybody is going to challenge Ridgepoint, it's going to be Hightower. You look at what happened last season, and Hightower came up short head-to-head against Ridgepoint, and Ridgepoint won the district title, whereas Hightower, finished in that second spot. But you could argue that Hightower had the better season overall, because once they got to the playoffs, man, they just got rolling. They finished the year 12-2. Another outstanding campaign under Coach Cornelius Anthony, who has really high expectations for his players in this program year after year. Since he's come in, the Hightower has always been a really good football program, but it seems like they've taken it to another level since he's arrived. And they're going to have plenty of talent as well.
Well, I appreciate it. We're moving on to 22 6A next week.
Perfect.
We'll post that entire breakdown segment this Wednesday on our social media pages. And now, let's take a look at some game changers in our Players on the Rise, presented by Parker University. Ridgepoint's Austin Carlisle is the reigning district offensive MVP and will be looking to go back-to-back. He threw for more than 3,100 yards and 35 touchdowns as the Panthers went 9-3 in 2023. He also ran for 10 more scores, so you could say he did it all. For his high school career, Carlisle has accounted for 72 touchdowns and should reach triple digits before he moves on to the University of Houston. At Clements, Max Simino catches everything thrown his way. The wide receiver had 66 receptions for 946 yards and 6 scores as he averaged more than 14 yards per catch. Simino also had an interception and a fumble recovery on defense, and he's an accomplished outfielder on the Rangers baseball team too. If quarterbacks in this district are smart when they play Hightower, they won't throw in the direction of Cade Phillips. This 4-star cornerback is a game changer in the secondary. Quick to jump a route, Phillips can read the quarterback's eyes and then make either a pick or stop a play for minimal gain. Cade could play safety in college and is considering several major programs, including Baylor, Texas, and LSU. Another cornerback who can flip a game on its head is Ridgepoint's Bryson Weber. Granted, he doesn't get tested too much, which is a wise move by his opponents. Bryson finished his junior season with 22 tackles and 2 INTs. He's a 4-star recruit who always seems to be lurking in that defensive backfield to make a play. He's considering Nebraska, TCU, Baylor, and others.
Players on the Rise is brought to you by Parker University. Check out our bachelor's degree in strength and human performance today.
And now for a coach's perspective, it's Ward Fasold again in our Media Day segment.
All right, it's Media Day. We are talking 21-6A as we inch closer to the start of the season, which is about less than a month away. We're joined by Trey Herman, the head coach at Fort Bend Austin. Coach, we're talking about this Fort Bend district where you guys let an outsider in the last couple of years. You let George Ranson. I didn't see no Fort Bend in front of it, but we got rid of them, and now it's all Fort Bend teams. Talk about it's. I talk these districts with coaches all the time, but when you have a district where you're so familiar with every other team, how do you kind of prepare for a schedule? I guess the only real thing is you have to find one more non-district game than you did the last couple of years.
Yeah, I just had to pick up one more game, and as far as familiarity within the district, in the coaching profession these days, coordinators are moving jobs pretty regularly, and so there is, while there's familiarity, there's also some changes in those particular positions. So you got to kind of pay attention early in the season to see if they've changed things and adapted to what a new coordinator's brought in, or maybe they got a different grouping of kids that they're trying to do some different things with. So you kind of have an idea of everybody, but at the same time, every team is different every year.
Well, this year, let's talk about last year. Last year, the Bulldogs were they were just knocking on the door just about in the postseason. And as we mentioned, George Ranson's gone, and that was one of the teams that opens up a spot. You guys have a veteran bunch. How do you feel about your chances of getting in the postseason and maybe even challenging those big dogs from Ridgepoint who don't seem to want to give up the district title anytime soon?
I feel good about our team, and like I said before, every year, every team is different. So one of the biggest things we can't do as a team is focus on last year. Yes, we made some good strides last year and competed well, and we're just one game off of getting into the postseason. But we also have to understand those games we won last year, they're all the games this year. So we've got to again, reestablish ourselves. We've got to go out and compete and then continue to make improvements there. But as you mentioned, we do have a veteran bunch.
Looking forward to it. Season's right around the corner, Coach. I appreciate you joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And as always, you can catch the entire interview Friday on our social media channels. That's going to do it for this week's Campfire. Next week, we'll analyze 22-6A. Until then, have a good one.